Listen, first, let me apologize for the noise in the ground, okay? I'm so sorry about that. People are always doing something outside. So, I want to get into everything that's been going on in court between Megan the Stallion and Milagro Grams. First of all, let me give a disclaimer. Everybody sit back and relax and, just kick it with me because none of us is involved in this trial. I'm going to try to keep my thoughts together, even though this is really going to be all over the place because I'm just going to start talking off the top of my head. First of all, Megan been looking good, okay? This probably like my favorite look right here. I like this updo with the glasses. I like it a lot. So she's been looking well put together, as does Milagro, and she got a portrait painted for her. That's really interesting. And I must say that I really have been enjoying the coverage on this case. At first, it was very scarce and no shade, but I do believe that it was a whole rollout for Armand to go on live and get his followers to crowdfund to get him out into Miami. He was going to go regardless, but we'll talk about that at another time. But yeah, I've been enjoying everyone's coverage. Y'all know that I did not like Armand's coverage of the Diddy trial because I felt like he was too theatrical. But on this trial, he's really just keeping it more to the facts in his notes and what he can remember. And to be honest with y'all, people feel like Armand is biased. And I know that's coming from a lot of Megan fans and stuff like that. And also people feel like Megan Cuniff is biased and stuff like that. And that means that's coming from like Tory Lanez fans as well as Barb's and Barb's. Like, yo, y'all need to stand down during this trial because this has nothing to do with y'all for real, for real. Just be a spectator and enjoy it for what it is. So, one of the most important things that I never want to forget is that it is definitely true that Megan the Stallion and Rock Nation have been plotting on Milagro Grams since 2022, and that came out on the witness stand several times where she had texted Desiree Perez saying, "Do we still have that file on that lady?" And when Megan went to see her psychologist or the trauma center, Megan never sent any material from any other media source, such as academics or Joe Budden. Everything was Milagro Grams, Milagro Grams. She always had it in her head to sue Milagro Grams. Now, Milagro Grams, to me, is not off the hook because what I feel she did to Megan Thee Stallion was disgusting. Do I think that Milagro Grams defamed Megan Thee Stallion? I couldn't really answer that up until Armand talked about how Megan was questioned by Milagro's lawyers in cross-examination about how specifically and if she had any proof that Milagro Grams defamed her, and she couldn't present any proof. And Megan's response was, "Because I said so." And I think that Megan has shown some of her worst qualities in this trial. Once again, that is no biasness because at the end of the day, Milagro Grams wears her worst qualities on her sleeves. And that's nothing new because we've been talking about that for how many years at this point. But Megan Thee Stallion gives that she is very much entitled into her Hollywood and celebrity lifestyle. And it do feel like Megan is gassed up. And I hate to say gassed up, but it's like for a lot of people, a lot of successful people like her, is their way or the highway because they are the boss, right? And she is the most prized artist at Rock Nation. She gets most of their brand deals, most of their attention and promotion on all of their social channels. So even though Megan Thee Stallion is not signed to a major label, she's still a priority artist and gets the major label treatment from Rock Nation. Milagro Grams definitely did too much over the years when it came to Megan Thee Stallion in reporting on Tory and Megan when they were not in the news. Yes, Milagro Grams had a personal fixation on Megan Thee Stallion, and it's definitely seeming like Megan Thee Stallion had a similar fixation on Millie as well because she was definitely targeted. And this is all alleged and social media chatter, but claims that Rock Nation doctored the AI tape of Megan and they planted that for Millie to bite and catch onto it. I definitely see validity in that. But at the same time, Milagro Grams was driven by her hate for Megan Thee Stallion, which is why she bit so fast into the tape. And yes, the tape may have been sent to her by her mob and her followers, but at the end of the day, she chose to engage with it. I believe in a lot of the things that Armand says. When you have a dislike for a celebrity like he's going through with Cardi B right now, it's important to know when to back up off of that person and report on them strategically, which Armand is displaying to us. I was telling someone the other day that there are so many examples these days of what to do when you have a platform, both good and bad, what you should do, what you shouldn't do, how to handle controversy, but also how to handle success. And I hope that for other commentators, creators out there, that people are really taking heed to everything that is going on right now. As I always say, there are two D's for me. As long as I'm not being either disrespectful or defamatory, I'm all good. That's why I only speak on facts. And honestly, the claims that Milagro Gramz defamed Meg are really weak because even though it was a lot and it was obsessive, the things that Milagro Gramz said about Megan Thee Stallion were not lies. It was just very weird to talk about this girl from sunup to sundown when she wasn't in the news, but also in any and every show that Millie would do before the gag order, she would always find some way to bring or interweave Megan Thee Stallion in the conversation. And it is weird because it's not like Milagro Grams was ever a fan of Megan Thee Stallion, similar to my relationship with Nicki Minaj, right? And keeping up with her every move. As someone who is not a fan of Megan Thee Stallion, I truly do not care what Meg has going on, her successes and her failures. You'll see a lot of Barb or Nicki positive channels report on every move that Megan Thee Stallion and or Cardi B and or anybody that Nicki Minaj doesn't like. They report on their every move and they drag these girls into oblivion, sometimes when it's not necessary. For me, it's really hard to even care about what Nicki's ops are doing because to me, they're just irrelevant and I'm not interested in them. I'm genuinely not interested in anything Megan has going on. Her music is not good. When she does something, I don't move. I keep scrolling. But it's so different for me because when Nicki Minaj does something, I'm automatically moving, right? That's why you can see in Megan's latest moves with her latest single, Lover Girl, you didn't see me make a video on that song as soon as it was released or even in its first week. And I didn't even talk about the music in general because I really don't care. But what I do care about is Megan's business moves and her relationship with Roc Nation, very similarly to how I care about the business moves of Nicki Minaj and her relationships with her labels and other executives in the industry. Now, I'm not saying everybody or every commentator should be like me, but I do think that there are boundaries that should be respected when it comes to what you say, but even how much you say. And you've noticed that my channel has transformed over the years. Shout out to my insiders. I really appreciate you guys as always. And I'm definitely going to have some thoughts on this, for Patreon. So shout out to my inside thoughts tier. I also do believe that Megan Thee Stallion is lying on the stand because she says so many things with no proof. She's also talked about how she has plans of suing other platforms. And honestly, this is all just so corny to me because she gave examples as to why she has not pursued academics and Joe Budden legally when they have bigger platforms and bigger followings and even more influence than Milagro Grams. So if you haven't come for them yet and you tried to go for the small dog, why go for the big dog, especially when you gave explanations on the stand of why you haven't come for them yet? I definitely think that Roc Nation and Megan Thee Stallion abuses their power in terms of the court system because if this doesn't work, see, here's the thing. It doesn't matter the outcome of the case. I do think that Milagro Graham should be held accountable because she just did absolutely too much. And she fucked up the game for a lot of other commentators, which is why we now have to have clear boundaries. No one said that you can't have your opinion or say what you want to say, but some of y'all be going way too far. I don't believe that Megan Thee Stallion was that impacted by Milagro Graham's commentary. Yeah, she may have the least amount of followers in terms of her, Joe Budden academics, and other hip hop platforms, but at the same time, her influence does spread wide and her sentiments also on social platforms like Twitter. But also, I don't understand how Milagro Graham's commentary can affect Megan Thee Stallion more than the lashings that the Barbs give to Megan Thee Stallion every time she does something, especially when she was going through her beef with Nicki Minaj. And I'll talk about the things that she said about Nicki Minaj on the stand on my Inside Thoughts tier. But those drags, once they start, they don't stop. Nicki Minaj even gave the Barbs the green light to type out Megan Thee Stallion's name instead of using nicknames for her during that week that Megan Thee Stallion released Hiss. So I believe that Megan wanted to get back at Milagro Gramz like this, and in a way where it severely hurts her pockets, her livelihood, her mental health, because that's what Megan went through. But was it really because of Milagro Grams, or was it because of the whole situation that caused this in the first place? See, I have empathy for everyone. That night of the incident between Tori, Megan, and Kelsey changed all of their lives forever. It doesn't even matter who's lying because they all lied. But at the end of the day, it changed their lives forever. Even though Megan didn't get hurt, but I don't believe the way she got hurt, it doesn't mean that that situation still wasn't traumatic for her, Kelsey, and Tori in their own ways, and everything that happened after it. Who knows what Kelsey is going through, because even though she's kind of the bad guy in the situation and she's free and came out unscathed, she still has to lay low and she can't speak much, especially in times like this when the situation is brought back up in the media heavily. So I have empathy for all three parties involved, even Milagro Grams as well. But that doesn't mean that we have to use our power and our voices to impact others in negative ways. And I hope that everyone learns something in this situation. I'm going to leave it here for now, y'all, unless I come up with anything else. But before I go, I just want to wish everyone a happy and safe holiday, and come find me on Patreon so we can discuss this a bit more in depth. Thanks for getting to the end of this video with me, and we will talk soon. Peace.
It's your girl Vina Love, the Harlem Princess, your favorite princess, and this is Destiny V. Period.